Okay, so we have a Russian, Indian, American union today. Okay, so every year, for the last, I don't remember how many years, we have this call. Every year, we try to take some of the responsibility away from Jim, but it never happens. So he has the dream that the young generation will get stronger, will take some of the tasks. We are getting there for the last 10 years, and we are still not there. Is it the right story, Jim? Is it the right way that you are trying to say that you have done enough for Sanskrit lexicography, and you're trying to get it over?
Yeah, it needs to change its mode of operation. Yes, when you want me to talk, I'll give you what's in my mind at the moment in that regard.
Right. So first, let's try to understand who is who. So before we start the real talking, for example, Felix, I have seen you quite some time in the comments, but I mean, what would be, for example, your interest in the? I mean, do you have any interest in the Sanskrit dictionaries, actually?
Well, hi. I can talk from two perspectives. One is I'm the managing director of the data center for the humanities at the University of Cologne, and the data center took responsibility for hosting the Sanskrit dictionaries back in 2013, when Thomas Malten retired. That was way before my time at the data center. Back then, I was still a linguist in the university. And we have an interest in continue hosting it and supporting the community on working on the dictionaries. But we do, and we can provide a sustainable URL and server infrastructure at no cost and everything. And we see it as our responsibility to
continue the support of the infrastructure.
Privately, I can say I did study Indology as one of my degrees in the early 2000s in Cologne, and Thomas Malten, who initiated the whole thing.
So you have your personal interest as well.
Was a mentor of mine. I worked with him in Orissa. I studied Tamil under him and things. So I have a personal interest in the dictionaries as well. But as Cologne University and the Data Center for the Humanities, I can say we are very interested that it keeps going and that there is a vibrant and lively community behind it that keeps it improving.
So at least we have a good message from you that there is nobody interested to shut it down for the upcoming, let's say, years.
Yes, definitely. And so I will be there for, let's say, 20 years. And as long as I'm here, that should be safe. And when I retire, we have to talk again. But I still
we have to talk again.
It should be safe after that as well. Yeah.
Felix, a side question for you.
Yes.
I believe you just said you were, I don't know, a student or a colleague of Thomas.
A student. I was a student of Thomas.
Yes, I have lost track of him. I have not had contact with him in the past year. Do you know anything regarding his situation?
I had lost track of him as well a little bit. A friend of us in Orissa died last year, and then we were in contact because I got the news and conveyed it to him. In another context, where someone in Heidelberg, his old alma mater in the 80s, is working on Tamil lexicography, and in that context, I met him again a few weeks ago. He seems to be healthy, but I haven't talked to him like privately. I only talked to him in a context where were several other IT and scientist people around. So he seems to be doing fine, but I don't know much. It was apparently one of his first Zoom calls, but I could see him in Zoom. He seems to be doing well, but I don't know what he's up to on a daily level. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I also wrote. I also sent him some pictures from 20 years ago, which I found back in when I moved house, and I haven't heard from him on that level as well. So
I would love to see how Thomas looks. I've never seen him. I mean, I only emailed him in the old days, like 20 years ago. We got in touch by emailing. So he sent me Xeroxes from Germany to Russia in the old days when the internet was young. So he thought it was a good idea to send the paper, not the files. So this is all I know of that person. So there is one person. Thomas Malten is the father of everything we do in this field of Sanskrit lexicography. So he's like he has passed it over to I don't know whom exactly, but anyway, and now we want to make sure that doesn't get lost. Right. So
I have some pictures of him too. I've never met him.
Because
I can get just so people can see.
I am the historian of this of this movement, so I would want to see for sure, right? So the main aspect, actually, maybe we will concentrate today is about I want to that people learn each other, that we know who is who. Good. And then we speak of some of the major aspects because some technical maybe aspects, because the big idea remains still the same. The Jim says it's enough for me. Nobody believes him anyway, but we have to at least have an idea. What do we do next when he doesn't reply to an email? We have to have a plan.
So go with your introduction. There's many people that I don't know.
All right. So Hrishikesh, can you please? I mean, I've met you only in Orville, so I have no idea of what's your real background. Could you please tell about yourself?
Yes. Hello. So I am Hrishikesh Tirdakar, and I have completed my PhD from IIT Kanpur from Computer Science Department. And my interest in Sanskrit was, so my PhD is about question answering in Sanskrit. So we've met in 2 ISCLS conferences in 2019 and 2024.
Right. So who was your supervisor?
Professor Arnab Bhattacharya. And my interest in Cologne dictionaries, so I have sort of written a wrapper in Python to download and manage Sanskrit dictionaries called PyCDSL. So it sort of gives a parent class for all dictionaries, and you can there is a provision to write individual parsers for each dictionary, etc. But those of course need to be written. Those are not written. But it also gives a command line way to quickly search. So it's kind of provides a REPL interface. So you can launch it and then just type a word and in multiple transliteration schemes, and it would fetch the results, and you can search in keys or in values, kind of things. So
you continued the development of your tool based on the list of the headwords and
yes. So there is an SQLite database as well as a part of Cologne corpus, right? So I primarily rely on those SQLite databases. So whenever I download things, I download those SQLite databases, and that is the key value that I'm using to search and produce results. Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that at Cologne there are several, let's say, updates, like let's say yearly? Have you grasped it like 5 years ago, or do you update it on a regular basis?
So this is the tool that you can install locally. So these dictionaries are fetched locally. So there is an update command, and you
that
whenever
means
there
you
is
can
an
update on every moment, so you don't depend on something that was once done like.
Yes. So it checks whether there is an update available, and then you can update it.
Right, understood. Because what I dislike with most tools based on Cologne is they take something like maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and then it's for eternal ages then, and they think that they're based on Cologne, but they're not based on Cologne, they're based on outdated Cologne. So this is what I really dislike, because there is no way of forth and back.
Yeah.
We need to have some way to let people know that such things are available so they can try them.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
right now,
I mean, I was not aware that you are based on Cologne, Rishikesh. So I mean, I've met you twice, but I still was not aware that you based it on it. So anyway.
Yeah. So I think even Professor Dhaval, Dr. Dhaval was actively involved in terms of feedback. So when I first messaged this on Sanskrit Programmers Group, he was
the Havel sometimes he is active, but we know only part of his activities. So if I don't ask him with a knife, like what have you done yesterday, he will not tell me it anyway. So
yeah. So initially he sort of requested a bunch of features, and I was adding them. So when I was actively developing this, a week or 10 days was quite fast development, where he would come up with a feature, I would implement it. He would say, I want this feature, I would implement it. But then, yeah, not many updates have gone after that.
Yeah, he has been lost in the jungles together with Thomas Malton. It seems in the same jungles, the Havel has been lost with Thomas Malton.
So one small request, let us all speak slowly, okay? Let's not be fast in our English speech. It's for Jim, okay?
Yeah,
so it's for Jim,
you.
so that he understands every word that we speak. Let's be slow.
Jim, is it too quick for you?
Yes, no, not for me, not for me.
No,
it's for Jim.
Are we too quick?
He will not ask, but we should be responsible from our side. Okay, he wants to hear. Okay, he wants to hear what we speak with all interest. So,
in working with Usha, this topic has come up as sort of a practical matter.
Right.
Usha tends to talk very fast in her English, too fast for me to comprehend, and so she's passing on that request.
Right. Understood.
Yeah, that's all.
So Rishikesh, you have some interest in the dictionary, in the source as well, not only on your additional software, but in the in the cleanness of the source as well, right?
Yes. So I mean, I'm interested in providing an interface or maintaining the interface to use it, and also to
because one of the biggest problems is, so we have a plan for Dhaval, but Dhaval doesn't have the plan for the dictionary. So I mean, he is great. Everyone would be happy if he would be totally in it, but as a fact, as of today, he is not. And we actually need a person from India that would love to have it not just like as something additional, like 25th task in his list, but somewhere a bit more higher in his list of priorities. So that the question is important, because we are hoping for Dhaval, but I'm not sure that he has the same opinion on it. So I mean, yes, emotionally he says yes, but practically, since the last maybe 3, 4, 5 years, he's rather lost, I would say.
Okay.
What well, no, let me not introduce.
No. Jim,
go ahead.
You should tell your vision. I mean.
Well, as a practical matter, since it's hosted at Cologne, someone has to have access to and be responsible for providing a link to the Cologne system that's set up. And right now I have that, of course, and Double has the potential for that, although I do not know at this time whether he's actually made use of that.
Right.
He hasn't renewed his account.
That's a very important thing.
Felix, he has not made use of it?
He hasn't renewed his account. The guest accounts are only yearly, and Jim, you're the only one who is continuously renewed.
Understood. So Jim is the only one who knows the way. Okay, got it.
Right, and so that's a critical piece of the whole system.
Right.
To make use of the excellent infrastructure at Cologne, someone has to be the person who gets it, who does that. I mean, it has to be very limited who has that ability for security reasons, of course. But
there should
one
be
thing I hope
another person who has an active account.
I hope that that is something that, who is going to take that role. I mean, I guess you could say my role is partly, that's a major portion of my role is to get on Cologne the things that other people and me develop to get that active on Cologne requires someone who has access to the server at Cologne and who can do whatever is necessary to get all of our GitHub stuff, GitHub repositories integrated properly at Cologne. So anyway, that was a main reason I wanted Felix to be here, is because he's our link to the reality of Cologne, and right now I'm the only one who has a key, and that has to change. And I don't know exactly how that will change. I'm hoping Dovell will get here and we can see his thoughts on it.
Okay, of course he will get, but I believe that his words and his thoughts and his doing might not be identical.
You named him in your Pondicherry meeting. I still remember with jealousy. Okay, I was not there because I wasn't working anyway. Just mentioning. I mean, I hope he will be.
I hope as well, but we have to have a plan B.
You are the best one to push someone into it, okay?
So this is why I'm looking very hopefully in the direction of India, actually. This is why today and yesterday, I actually started writing about it in BVP, writing in the Sanskrit coder community, because Dovell having that access or not having that access is one issue, but there must be a person other than Dovell who has the knowledge of the infrastructure. And this is why, Hrishikesh, for example, I'm looking in the direction of India.
Yeah, both Sanskrit and coding, he is the one who is very comfortable with, and we have few more people here, I see them.
Yeah, because here the most important part is the coding part, because in the infrastructure, it's a huge mess if you don't understand how everything is connected.
Yeah, I can give some details on that later if it's appropriate to, as to what kind of skills are involved in the current configuration.
Right. So let's go on. Aryaman, could you please tell about yourself a bit?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, I'm very sorry I took a screenshot mistakenly while trying to blur this background. It was right above it, so I'm very sorry about it. So I just found your text in Telegram channel today.
Right.
Sanskrit coders. So I'm not a coder, but I'm learning NLP these days. And my background is a technical background, and then I've worked as a fintech manager. So my family background was Sanskrit background, and I have been teaching Sanskrit and other Indian languages and scripts through a trust, and along with my wife I run it. So both of us are into Sanskrit things.
Right. So you have a long-lasting interest in Sanskrit, and you are keen to get more knowledge about the Sanskrit dictionary's digital part, right?
Yes, I am very much interested in that, and because Dr. Suhasini Pandey is also here, she is my wife. So her total education is in Sanskrit. So she has a PhD in Sanskrit under Dr. Balram Shukla. So she is basically dealing with Sanskrit lexicon and phonology, free variation, those kinds of things. So when I came into touch with her, after that I was able to realize that this is a huge canvas that I can go into, and that interests me a lot, because I was trying to figure out where I can put my effort and my energy. And today when I found your text, I was very enthusiastic, and I shared it with her. And I already connected with you on LinkedIn and Facebook. So
Right.
I know about your project a little, just a little.
Right.
So I thought it would be beneficial for me to get connected with all of you.
So actually, Jim, what I thought about is that today we'll introduce ourselves. Today we will speak about some aspects, and I was thinking that we might need to have another call, maybe a bit later, a few days, weeks after, when we actually start solving some of maybe those issues. I mean, maybe we had it once, like split, we had like 2 calls, you remember, right?
Yeah, sure. I think if you're asking me, do I agree
Yes.
with that? I think you're right. That
Right, because I really believe it's important to understand who is who. Without it, it's impossible to do nothing.
And we're having to, today is stating the problem, so to speak.
Right.
Not necessarily providing a solution. I mean, we've got many, I think we've got a lot of experience in our meeting room.
Right. Some of us
have some
know
good
how
ideas
to turn
about
on
how
the
to
PC on.
What was that again?
Some of us know how to turn on the PC.
Yes, I think we can assume that.
Not all, but some.
Yeah.
Okay. Then Viviki, I don't know what is that for Viviki, so please introduce yourself.
Well, I'm known in the BVP circle. Some of you know me in person. Maybe, I don't know whether I met you in Pondicherry with
yes, we probably did.
We had a lot of discussion at the cafe also.
Right.
So, okay.
What is your full name, please?
My full name is Venkata Krishna Shastri. The middle name is Bevur, and people know me as BVK Shastri. Okay. Now, this is what brings me to the lexicon.
It looks like a keyboard.
Yes, it's a Sanskrit keyboard, or rather a voice keyboard, wherein it is based on the Shiva Sutras.
Right. It sounds like a bit of pain for me.
Okay, so to type Sanskrit, you don't have to go through the Romanization and the Harvard Kyoto Convention and all that. You can type Devanagari as it is pronounced. And there is a converter which is already built into that. You can switch language and type any other screen display of any Indian language or a phonetic language from Devanagari and vice versa.
Through Maheshwara Sutras, right?
Yes.
It sounds a bit of fun, I would say.
It's a hardware solution for the multilingual issues and a voice interface.
It sounds interesting. Okay. So, and what's your interest in the digital lexicography? Do you have any interest in it?
Oh, yes, because when I have to teach digital Sanskrit from class 6 to advanced learning, editing web pages, creating content and all that, correcting the text or even the beginning teaching becomes challenging here. So I had to use this keyboard and then tell them, show them how to use online dictionaries. So that is where I come into picture. My first interest started with Sanskrit programming, way back story, bricks and all that. And then I came to the Rajiv Malhotra and then to the later phase and all that. The latest being Gerard Hewitt, Peter Sharaf and all that. So the issue has been it is not enough to make a hyperlink and say, okay, here is the web page which leads to the next, to the next. You have got to bring in the voice analytics into the programming. Right now, the best I know of the computers, you have only Chomsky's model, which is running for the programming interface, language modeling. So my questions have been, do we have a real understanding of the language model of Panini Sanskrit? My answer, hypothesis, we have not understood Panini's language. So how do we go about? So
Okay,
for that,
so you are diving deeper than I have ever. I mean, I do believe I understand half of what you say, but I agree that I believe that we don't understand. I believe that you are right. I mean, but I have to believe. I can't say I understand it, but I believe you are right.
Thank you. So to keep objective options open, I have been exploring what if today's technology minus the Roman alphabet characters were the available tools for Panini. How would we use that technology, today's technology, to create a human-machine interface, a speech solution, a translation machine, all that. So I had to go back to the character set as a member of the Vedic Unicode proposal, and they wanted to have a lot of Vedic accents marked. I raised this basic question. They said, let's finish the script part first, the visuals, and we'll come back to voice later. So that was the second occasion in which I really questioned the design of the Unicode standards, which is ASCII based. It's like an inverted cone where the entire world languages are pinned on the most imperfect character set, cluster, and order phonetically. So if we have to do a ab initio primary thinking, how would we go about? So this is where my
So you are trying to be like a revolutionary, because the only person whom I know who tried to change the Unicode standard for Devanagari was Peter Scharf. So you are trying a revolutionary kind of approach. Okay, understood. Okay.
I have worked with Peter Scharf. He understands me, and Graduate and Peter Scharf have slightly different opinions.
Understood.
I've interacted with the CDAC people, including the local ones, our friend Ramanujam and Ramakant Pandey, all these persons. What we don't understand, including me, is, as you said, we know how to start a computer, but to write a code, we go to the HTML or the C++, where we get lost. So I'm trying to get back to the good old question. If we are addressing the weapon or darbha, grass, hey darbe, how would the darbha grass understand me? How would it go? That's a basic question. So that's what has triggered Google. And as a member of the W3C and the, what you call the AI challenging teams, I put the same question to them. They have brought out the limitations of the AI. I said, I'm not fighting with Unicode. I'm not trying to change any of these things. Can we look at it from a slightly different perspective and find a solution? That's all. So I'm not trying to be, a teetotaler or a party spoiler.
What I like about your idea is that you use it in education. So my personal main goal is the same. I want to change the way Sanskrit is taught, using at least some of the possibilities of these tools. So you want to use it in education. It is my final goal for me as well, not for scientific purposes, but for educational purposes.
I concur with you, and I have tried to do that experiment in the last 10 years, teaching Sanskrit for the education groups from the Paninian method and all that, including this keyboard to high schoolers. and it has worked well. They pick up the language naturally. And this, yes, it does work.
Understood. Didi, is your major role to keep up Jim Vanderburg as inspired as in the old days?
Oh, yeah. Jim has to say that.
No, Usha, only Usha can say that.
Usha can say that.
Usha will be silent today. I just want to hear.
So
No,
the main role of Usha Sanka is to keep Jim inspired, because she gives him more than the Sanskrit dictionaries can give.
Well, I should have a disclaimer at this point. I think I am very weak in Sanskrit.
Right.
I have a goal to. I came from sort of the 1960s era in the U.S. So, you know, there was an influx of what were called spiritual teachers into the U.S. at that time from India. And I became, the message they gave fit my thoughts to some degree well. And I wanted to be able to make an independent evaluation of, not evaluation, but I guess that's the right word. It's hard to say. So to develop spiritually. And I thought I needed to learn Sanskrit for that reason. And then, you know, I did that to some degree by myself for a few years, and got hooked up with Peter in like 2004 or so.
Peter means Peter Scharf.
Yeah, Peter Scharf. And the only dictionary then was Thomas's dictionary, and there was some display of it, by now kind of primitive, but still useful. And I found mistakes, and that seems to be something I have an eye for, is to find places where someone has a mistake and to try to correct it. So I got, through Peter, we got connected with Thomas and developed a system where I could satisfy my urge to make corrections. But that turned out to be a very intricate and difficult task. And I postponed learning Sanskrit. I was like, what is the right term? In a harem, there is the eunuch. So Sanskrit was the harem and I was the eunuch, so to speak. I took care of the lovely things in the Sanskrit, but I didn't understand them. But I want to do that now. And last couple of years, with Usha's help, I've made a bit of progress in that direction. But I need to. Right now, all the people here, most of the people here, would be better able, if they were motivated, to improve the Sanskrit dictionary site than I am. Because we're getting to the stage where the obvious things have been done. Many of the things that I'm capable of identifying as deficiencies in our representation of these European dictionaries of Sanskrit, primarily European. And then we're to the stage where I'm not making we need someone who knows Sanskrit better to lead, to really guide. Andhra Bharati, who's, I don't think Nagabhushana is here right now. He has certainly,
Hello.
Oh, there's Joe.
Havel, can you hear Jim? The Havel joined. I'm making sure he hears us.
So anyway, I'm just giving more rationales
Yes.
So you can understand where I'm coming from and why, you know, some of the reasons that I'm wanting to transition out of it. And I think the project itself has matured enough so that it needs someone or several people who have a very advanced grasp of Sanskrit to guide what is important to do for these dictionaries, so that they're giving an idea to other people who are learning Sanskrit or are needing some references for obscure words that they come across in Sanskrit. What needs to be done to make the dictionaries more useful than they are now, and better organized and so forth. Anyway, I'll stop at the moment.
So can I just add 2 lines?
Sure.
Okay. First thing, the team at IIT Kanpur has been leading this language and technology, especially for Sanskrit, in a very brilliant way. But we have a slight difference of opinion. Do we want to make a screen presentation of the text so that it helps the viewers, or do we want to take the language to the commercial technology levels? Or, as you said, which is my interest also, make digital learning of the language as natural language learning. So this is where we have to sort out our perspective thinking. And the second thing is, can Sanskrit be modeled like English or any European language for this? So that is called the non-Roman script initiative on the other side. And my studies show from Russia, I think it was Slovenian or one of those languages of the Russian group, they had almost come to a finished stage of the operating system and the programming languages and other things, but I don't see it anywhere. What I see is China pushing their Ubuntu version models, Kylin, with a different force. So something needs to be done so that Sanskrit model becomes not just a wish, but really a human language model for the technology. What can we do together as a team?
What we try to do here is not connected with that. We are dealing with a small part. We are caring only about the dictionaries. We are aware of some things outside the dictionary world, but we don't try to make a model of Sanskrit. This we leave for the smarter guys out there. We are taking care on the basis. Everyone basis is research on dictionaries. Everyone, the smartest, everyone, the students. We care not about the model. We care that the words should be clean, entries hyperlinked as much as possible. That's it. We do not try to solve huge tasks. Our task is simple, to keep the dictionaries running.
And maybe I'll add one word from my side at this point.
Yes,
like what Jim has done was at a very basic level when I was like connected. Then Marcus and Jim joined and they started making it more useful. Now I tell how I use it better way. So there are more applications which can come out if we can make the words more like cleaner. Like for example, Vachaspatyam has only Pratipadikas, Shabdakalpadruma has the Prathama forms. So if we can connect them both with Apte, so something like that they are planning so that we have more like kinds of only dhatus don't have Sanskrit meanings at all. Only the Apte dictionary has dhatu with English meaning. Shabdakalpadruma and Vachaspatyam never speak about the Sanskrit meaning. So what if we can put some Sanskrit meanings in? Something like that. I mean,
interlinking. So we don't build a model. No.
Okay.
So using whatever is input in the form of digital forms and trying to bring best for the teachers, for the students, for the language users, for learning purposes, and any kind of applications. So make them friendly, user friendly more. Like Jim introduced the search for me. Like when it gets highlighted, we tested it. It was a wonderful experience. I use the best. I mean, Cologne dictionary is a part of my life. Okay, so that is how I use it. That's what I mean. Mark, if you can give them an idea about the works and like patterns, what all happened and what is expected to be done. If we can reach that stage, when we reach that stage, then things will be clear for them. Maybe.
So I want to make sure that Cologne remains the dictionary standard on Sanskrit for the next 200 years. So to be the standard, I don't care if there are artificial intelligent models around or not. I do not care. What I care is a clean dictionary, because we are not yet there, even for Monier Williams. In 1995, it started. So it started 30 years ago, and Thomas Malton started it, and we are still not there. So what can we speak about of a model if we cannot make a printed dictionary, fully identical digital copy of it? We are still not there. So no, not here. So I don't want to spend time in discussing things we will never actually reach. It's rocket science. What I speak is simple, kindergarten level.
Thank you. I get that. Shabda
Right.
Artha Kosh. Period. That's it.
Right. So we have Katerina. She is like let her tell what's her story.
I'm
She's
just
like
a lecturer. Yeah,
just.
if you mean myself. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm Kat Willamova, and I'm a lecturer at the University of Melbourne, and I finished my PhD there. So my background is in computer science, to be honest, but I collaborate a lot with linguists because I work on computational linguistics. And I got an impression, Marcin, that you actually need someone like Harald Hammarström, who was the one who created Ethnologue, for like a sort of like a database of the language descriptions, etc., or something like the World Atlas of Linguistic Structures, you know, like sort of like, but the same thing, but for lexical semantics. Because dictionaries is all about lexical semantics. And you probably want to have something like to kind of put together, like start making a database of lexical semantics. And I have actually the way I'm interested in this is that I have a project that is kind of collaboration with cognitive scientists in terms of studying lexical semantics across languages, and we actually trying to create a large database of dictionaries, bilingual dictionaries, so where there is a translation, as trying to collect as many dictionaries as possible and then clean them. And we are facing quite similar problems, I guess, that dictionaries, they have very different structures and it's very hard to process, and many of them are not properly digitized. So,
wow.
Yeah. And
so you actually know what lexicography is, or have thought about that question?
Well, it's not my area of research, but I kind of, fortunately, I have many linguists and cognitive scientists as my collaborators. And yeah, indeed, we actually recently published another paper that was like trying to use large language models to generate example sentences. So you provide a word and a translation in other language, and it gives you some examples how to use this word in that particular sense in that language using large language models. And it was quite good for like languages where you have enough data. When you go to this so-called like under-resourced languages, smaller languages, it's much more challenging. But if you have enough data like English, French, Russian, German, it's all works quite nicely, actually. So this is another thing that I like, another project that maybe somehow lies on the intersection with what you are interested in.
It seems like that there's no theory of what a dictionary is that is at the basis of the Cologne system of, dictionaries. In other words, there wasn't a theory of what is it. You could ask the question, what is a dictionary? you know, try to, that kind of abstract question, what is a dictionary? And then you could try to categorize how different actual things that call themselves dictionaries are related to that model of that you think is what a dictionary is. But there's no such theory that was based on, you know, that the Cologne system was based on. We had no preconceived notion of what is a dictionary. Just things that, well, everybody knows what a dictionary is, so let's just make a dictionary. You know, it was assumed to be known, but there was no model as to which the Cologne so-called dictionaries relate. I wonder if it would be useful to try to evaluate the current status of what Cologne calls dictionaries in light of people who have thought about that abstract question of what is a dictionary. I wonder if it would be useful to review the Cologne dictionaries as they are currently constituted in the light of people who know what dictionaries should be, who have a good model. That might facilitate all kinds of further uses of the Cologne dictionaries. Maybe the model that is implicitly shown by the fact of the Cologne dictionaries as they currently stand, maybe that model is not quite the right model. And to make what would be the benefits of having a better model, well, maybe the way you would approach using the dictionaries might be quite different. So it would be nice to have someone who knows about such things with linguistic backgrounds and focusing on lexicography. It would be good, it probably would be good to have the Cologne system of dictionaries evaluated by people with such knowledge. And that might be, I think that would be useful.
Yeah, there are like to my knowledge, so there are some methodologies in terms of evaluation of the dictionary and say examples used in the dictionaries in terms of their typicality or their simplicity, etc., or interpretability. But as I mentioned, I'm not from lexicography itself, not from the field, but I am aware of some of the conferences in this field, and it's clear that there is some research in this area. They're trying to come up with different definitions and methodologies for the dictionaries, which words should end up in the dictionary, and what are the what are the evaluation metrics for the examples to be used in the dictionary? How to use the word in the context, whether it's a good example or it's not a good example.
What did you say your specialty was? You mentioned that it's not exactly linguistic.
I'm from computer science. So I'm originally from computer science, but I'm doing computational linguistics. So I don't have proper education in linguistics itself, but since I collaborate with linguists, so I'm trying to learn from them as much as I can. I primarily focus on under-resourced languages like smaller languages, technology for smaller languages.
So one of the ideas possibly would be if we formulate what we lack, that we might want one day, if Katya makes it like a proposal for some of the students who come to her university, one day maybe one of them could accept some part of something involved in Cologne. So if we formulate what we lack, then maybe there is a way attracting at least one student, maybe for 1 year, for some of the tasks. That was one of the ideas. But actually, she knows a lot of what's happening in the world, so it would be great if she would not run away right now. I would be happy.
Yeah, I'm receiving some, like quite many actually, emails from prospective PhD students, and some of them are actually mentioning that they're interested in computational linguistics, focusing on Sanskrit. But my problem is that I'm not from Sanskrit community either, so it's hard for me to identify what are those kind of research gaps in the area. So when you start a PhD, you of course spend your first year to study this particular field and identify the research gaps. So if you want to focus on dictionaries, probably it would be good to just kind of somehow clearly formulate what are the research gaps, what should be the research questions that may be like feasible to address during the 3 or 4 years of a PhD program.
A small input to Katya's observation. You use the word linguistics, language, and all that. If you have been watching the other side of the world, the word semantic web is slowly being modified to semiotic, S-E-M-I-O-T-I-C, semiotic systems. And this is the new term that is coming up under science of consciousness, language research. So this could be of some interest. Regarding Jim's point, what he raised, what is a dictionary? Do we have a theory? Now, my limited understanding of Panini regarding the word meaning, we have a statement, Siddhe Shabdartha Sambandhe. And that is where I appreciated Mas's point that the whole project is Shabda Artha Kosh. And the sadhana, the tool, is today the computer and the related convenience of that. So we are clearly demarcating the theories of language, theories of meaning, and all those kind of things out of this particular thing. We're putting a clean circle on that. How this is going to impact the world is a different story.
Yes, we don't care about that.
We don't care about that.
Then
exactly the point what you said, when I started teaching Sanskrit for the American student, one of my American students, she asked me, where do I find the meaning of the word Rama? Which dictionary should I use? Closing my eyes, I said, okay, English Sanskrit dictionary, Monier Williams, pick it up. She picked up the word Rama and she came out with 20 different listed meanings in that. Which one out of these things is what you are intending? Then I had to scratch my head and say, no, this is how we use. It is just Ra and Ma put together. We don't care whether it denotes Ayodhya Rama, or Parashurama, or Dasharath Rama. It is just two characters put together for the grammar purpose. But she said, no. I want to understand the purpose and meaning of it. I said, that's a different subject. You just learn this much first. And what I am teaching you is a cultural part. How it is being used in our system. If it can be used in different way is fine. And this precisely is the point what you have discussed in traditional circles. But that again takes us to a different field. I don't want to divert too much on that.
The traditional field is good without us. And we have to move on because the traditional field is a closed one. The difference here is that Cologne is open, and that's a huge difference, because when I came to Pune, to Deccan Sanskrit College, to see how the dictionary is going on for the last 70 years, I understood it's not going on nowhere. And they will never finish in 3,000 years. In 3,000 years. So that means Indian lexicography is stuck. It will never finish in traditional way. So there has to be a revolution in this. And the digital Sanskrit lexicon, this is what I believe. We have to unite. India alone will never finish a Sanskrit dictionary as huge as they have in their minds. So, but I don't blame them. They are just not ready for dictionaries as they are. So we.
Marcis, you are just repeating what Patanjali said. The great teacher was somebody and the other listener was somebody, and they learned it for 10,000 great divine years, and
Right.
they never reached the end of it.
Right. So they are
Right.
doing the same way, but they don't understand that the paper dictionaries printed 3,000 years ago will become dust by the time they reach half of it. Yes, they did.
Mark, Apte is Indian, Mark. Apte is Indian.
And he is I pray to Apte because he was so young and still so wise. His mother must be non-Indian. There must be some clue.
Not of course. No. You can't say that. You can't say. He's a pure Brahman. He's from Maharashtra, the same place where you went, and he did not only English to Sanskrit but also Hindi. And he worked on.
He was a star. He remains one, but there was no other before and after.
No. You cannot blame India for not completing your work. What Pune is doing different, what Apte did is different. You can't say that because you have Apte. You cannot blame.
Okay, I agree. Apte is above. Apte is above. I agree. Okay, let's go on. Dhaval, are you there? You tried to turn on your mic, but you failed. You turned it off again.
I am here.
Hi, Joel.
Okay. Is there something you want to say, Dhaval?
I have not kept track for last 2-3 years. The idea.
Last 2-3 years.
Still you have your name. Don't worry, Dhaval. Marcus still holds you very high in all.
I still remember you, Dhaval.
Yes, the world. Dhaval is there. Okay, don't worry. You can still. You're still connected.
You are still free for it.
Okay. So from my perspective, the use cases which Rishikesh also would be bearing me out would be currently the web version is working fine. So we should think about other, let's say, Python bindings or maybe some APIs which would serve for your static dictionaries or other forms of consumption of this material. So once you have a good data, which is currently I find it very nice compared to the state in which we got the data. It's much more cleaner, still much more to do, but yes, much more cleaner than the previous one. So now the different consumption front ends, that is where we should focus more so that people can create their applications based on the background data and refresh the data as and when they require. So that is what I have in mind, and that is where it is. Otherwise, for past 1 year, whatever issues which I am seeing, they are mainly related to linkages of the references. So all the literary sources which have been mentioned, they are being linked to their pages, their exact pages from which that quotation has come. It's a good thing, and once it gets done, then I don't think we have much left for hyperlinking. So then the data errors are gone and hyperlinking is done as far as we can. Then I think we should focus more on making it more user friendly rather than just giving a desktop version. That's what I want to say.
So Dhaval, you see, I mean, that API part is a totally coding part, and we don't have a coder for that, as you know. I mean, the idea is great. I'm totally for Cologne to be open, but we don't have a coder actually to move it on. Do we?
Right. So I also have that we don't have any coders who can code good backend applications and front-end applications. So data integrity part we are taking care of, but for front-end we are still having that hard-coded PHP or hard-coded PHP. So front-end and data segregation is not still there, and the backend consumption of our data is also limited. So we do whatever we can with different Python scripts, but not all people in world would be doing that. So we'll have to code it for humans. So I think for Rishikesh also has some expertise. Front end we are starving. We do not have any front end coder. So front end, whatever bare minimum HTML we have and whatever is there in front end, that's it. Where not more than that.
John, I'm not sure you're aware of it, but the theme of this meeting that I'm bringing to it is transition away from me. And in playing tag as to who is next, I'm reaching out to your shoulder.
Right.
But I don't know whether you're going to be there or whether you'll dodge my tag.
Okay. Jim, currently I'm not able to attend or give more time to Cologne, but I understand what you are doing and I can take over if you are not able to attend to the chores. So that is not an issue. The only issue would be I'll have to, I think Felix would have to help me out in that. In case that server access expires every year. So I'll have to get some new server accesses to Cologne so that the site can continue on Cologne. Otherwise, we'll have to migrate somewhere else if we lose contact.
No. Let's not migrate. Let's not migrate.
Yes, I hope we don't have to migrate. Well, my intention is to finish the projects that are right now open. For example, there's a couple of projects with Anna that are open with the Buddhist Hybrid Sanskrit Dictionary and with the links to the Bombay edition of Bhagavatam Purana.
Right.
And there's I don't think is Scott here?
No, he didn't reply and he's not here.
Okay. Scott has just someone out of the blue has done a lot of error detection in Monier Williams, despite our years of attempting to get rid of all the errors. There are still, things that everybody would agree are errors in it if they noticed it. And Scott has been noticing a huge number of them.
Great.
And I would hope that Double can actually analyze those. I've done some things to sort of make them available, but that would be something I don't want to do that again. I've done enough of that, and I don't really want to do that. I don't know whether that's selfish or whatever, but that's just
It's okay.
My
Jim,
mind
to say
doesn't
no.
get joy. My mind doesn't get joy in that right now.
Right.
I've done it enough.
Right.
I completely understand, Jim says that you have served this purpose or served this cause for many years. So it's perfectly legitimate to ask for a break. So in that case, I'll have to devote more time to Cologne. And also I'll have to seek help from people who would like to do one coding part. I can do that correction thing, everything, but regarding coding, I'll need additional help.
Okay, well, that's great.
And that's
that was one of the things I was hoping to learn in this meeting. That provides, since we've already got a procedure that where you can get access to the server, you just have to renew it and start using it a bit more. But so that's good.
Right.
So if I may speak.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So I think this is the what Dr. Dhaval mentioned, that we sort of need two threads now. One thread is that works on maybe porting some of the existing backend and front-end infrastructure to a newer one that makes use of newer technologies, and one that is easier to maintain. So if the time comes to hand over to the next person, it should not be too complicated a system. And three, this whoever is responsible of this should also interact with the person or persons who are in charge of correction. So a correction thread and interface thread. And I am so I have experience in writing backend servers in primarily in Flask. I also have experience in PHP, etc. But I would recommend going away from PHP. And
we can go away from PHP only if there is a person who goes away from PhD. So PHP. So the problem is that we are okay of going away from PHP, but who will go and where we go?
So well, another thing is that the Cologne IT infrastructure has certain things they've chosen not to support, as far as I understand, and we'll have to work around that. Has to be worked around.
So one
Felix
thing, I mean, one possible thing. Sorry, I'm interrupting. Is we can just separate two things out. So one is a dedicated interface development, which does not depend per se on. So this interface can be a web interface that can be installed on any server. So Cologne would, if they have to only host data in terms of databases, and interface is something that can have multiple mirrors. So you can replicate the data from Cologne to different things, and you can have multiple mirrors of same thing running. That can be. So it is not that you can access this interface only on this particular website. This is the source, and these are these 10 mirrors that run the same front-end software, same back-end software, and they pull data from this core database. So
right now, the way Cologne works is that I have on my local system essentially what is available at Cologne. I use XAMPP for a server with PHP, and so I can run everything locally. There's facilities. It's organized that way. The code is written to make that easy to do. It's just there's lots of anyway. So that's one thing. Felix, I think, had a comment that he wanted to make.
Right.
Yeah. So talking about the infrastructure, there are different. So this is running on the central computing center at the university, and they have different layers of support, and with the different layers of support comes different restrictions to technology. The one with the highest level of support is the web spaces where what the Cologne dictionaries run on right now. This restricts things to PHP, Python, and MariaDB as a database backend, and then everything else like HTML, JavaScript libraries, and everything works fine. There are different levels of services we could migrate internally to. That would open up the possibilities for other technologies, but it would also mean more administrative work, like server administration work or something like that. That is all solvable. It just should be done with sustainability in mind, so not just jumping to a new technology or something like that. There is another thing which I think might make sense, is tearing apart backend and frontend a little bit more. A colleague of mine for the VedaWeb project, which is a project that has currently only the Rig Veda, but is supposed to have all 4 Vedas and then be extendable to other Sanskrit things as a virtual research environment. He coded. I put it into the chat. Has a back end which is based on Elasticsearch and some other things, which provides GraphQL and RESTful interface APIs for dictionaries and the people who. But that's one of the Matis said he grabbed at some point the dictionaries. He has a pipeline to pull in GitHub things, but he hasn't pulled the Sanskrit dictionaries for a long time. But that could be like
could be a good path. You mean, right?
Yes, that could be. Basing things on that would be probably good. This project here, the VedaWeb project, uses that backend.
So maybe we should try to get him maybe in our next call and have some it sounds like a good plan. I mean, I like what they do. I've been following them for many years, and if they might be interested in what we do because we are somehow connected.
Just two questions. I think I heard you say Elasticsearch today.
Yes.
I think that's a terrific technology, if that's the right word, that I didn't think we had available. I tried to do something like that several years ago because of the Java support. So if that's something that, if we decided to go that route, would be something we could be made available on the Cologne servers to us, I think that might be
That
useful.
would be a migration out of the web spaces, but that's, I said it's manageable. The question is, so
the question is what will it be in 10, 20 years from now, so we don't have to run every 10 years in some other direction.
Yes.
Yeah, the disadvantage is that maybe it's not the local installations of things might be different. But anyway, I'm glad that's something we can have in our arsenal. The other thing you mentioned was Python. And we use Python now, but we don't. In our setup at Cologne, I don't think, for example, we can have our web server part of our system, the displays are built on PHP.
You can do it on Python.
And I know Double would, I'm almost sure Double would prefer it if it were all done with Python using Flask or something of that nature. And I think you're saying that if we wanted to go that route, that would be something also available. Right now, the Python support from the server is limited, at least as far as I know. But it could be made available if we wanted to do that.
Yes, it's partially available in the web spaces, but there is different, like there would be solutions where there would be more available. But yeah, there are other solutions. We have to then see what makes sense.
Decide, yes. Okay, that's good. That's really good to know. It's not, you're showing that, you're telling me stuff about how the system is administered at Cologne that is very helpful to have you say. That's good to know.
Okay, I have an observation. Marcis, you raised a very pertinent question. What would be there down the line 10 years? What is it that we are likely to see? Is it a threat or is it an opportunity? Which translates to a totally different thing. If I am learning Sanskrit or teaching Sanskrit to a 10-year-old kid in the school, 20 years, the boy attains, that's 10 years down the line, what would this person learn or acquire as Sanskrit? Or what would the person remember? If I take my own case, I learned the basics of Sanskrit 50 years, 55 years ago. And the same Rama Shabda, same pattern remains throughout India, wheresoever it has been taught. But with the upcoming technologies, the way AI and the voice search is going on, the students would like to, the user would like to get in for voice search, which right now is a chaotic thing, which basically means, from my understanding, the technology people will understand this much better. How will the programming languages handle the Sanskrit voice? And I think this is an extremely gray area where a lot of work needs to be done. For education, this is critical because I will not be able to teach Sanskrit or any language in the schooling education the way I learned it or the books are written. It has to be digital. It has to be through the student voice, through the digital interfaces. So where is our readiness for that?
I hope that the only issue we have for the next 10 years is voice issue. Let it remain gray. Let all the other issues, I don't care. Right now, what we do here is in no way connected to voice. We had 10,000 mistakes in just the headwords. How can you use vocal systems or headwords where if 10% of our words were not words but gibberish. So what you are speaking is out of context for now. So what I say is only dictionary, no voice. Voice is a different issue. Not here, please. Not now.
That's what I'm thinking.
Not now. Not now. Shankara Rama, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I'm here. Yeah.
Did you hear at least something of what we spoke before?
Yeah. I was listening, and in the most recent question
Shankara
also I
Rama
heard.
is a person whom I would really want to get into this, because he has this traditional knowledge, and that what he does. I mean, I hope he likes what he sees here. I would really want to.
Yeah. So I think you mentioned some of this during our February meeting in Pondicherry also.
Right.
Yes. So this was like continuation of that. I was listening. Yes.
Right. So what I want to have one place on the internet, which is the one place for Sanskrit dictionaries. And I would want to know if there might be an interest, maybe from Vyoma, from you, whatever kind of way, that we have some support, at least at one point in India. I mean, right now, like there is Dhaval, but he is not in this call right now, and that's it. And it stops here. Nobody in India supports digital Sanskrit studies in India.
Right. Yeah, surely. Vyoma is looking at that in the long term. Yes, we would. It is, and Rishikesh also wanted to work in closely with Vyoma. So I will surely put it across to the management at Vyoma.
Yes,
and,
that is what I would really, I would hope that at one stage, at least some small task could unite Cologne and Vyoma.
Correct. It would be very interesting and very useful for not only the organization involved, but for the whole community together. Yes, completely agree.
So what is the ways, okay, what is your personal interest in digital Sanskrit dictionaries, Shankara Rama? Do you yourself use them? Maybe you teach and use them. What is your connection?
So currently the tools we use are ashtadhyayi.com and sanskritposha.com. And I think all
so
of
they
them
are two tools, right?
Correct. Yes.
And they are like a Paninian kind of tools, like non-bilingual dictionary kind of tools.
Correct.
Is there a way to open your eyes to the third one? Like, I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. So since while we prepare our courses or material and various other books or something, we just go and access these things. And previously, I used to use this learnsanskrit.cc and a couple of other things. So however the tools are useful, it would make a great impact. For example, the ease of access to that tool, and for a non-programmer, for example, if it's a Sanskrit scholar or something, and they don't know much of a computer, but they want quick access, so that the front-end access makes a lot of difference, because the ashtadhyayi.com itself, it is the way it has been presented is what makes it very accessible to people. And
yes, but when you say ashtadhyayi.com, they don't have like these interlinked things that Jim has made now. So now we have this connection with the dictionary, with the initial texts they are based on. So this is not done nowhere. The only place that there's trying to do it lately is Wisdom Library. They are the only place that try to interlink the dictionaries back to the source texts. And Oliver Helving was doing it like for the last years anyway. This amount of interlinkage as at Cologne is not done nowhere otherwise than in the Wisdom Library, as I'm aware of.
Absolutely, no doubt. So if it is presented when we are able to use it well, I'm sure it's going to be of great use, and organizations like Vyoma and other things will use it greatly, because when we prepare such material, we want our references.
Maybe to have, let's say, some speaking at Vyoma, so people at Vyoma get aware of what actually is going there. So I see that not all people know what's actually happening around. So
Correct.
I see it becoming an issue.
Yes. So it needs some publicity and probably a tutorial of how to use it and the way it can be spread forward. Then it would be an incredibly useful tool. Yes.
Okay. Now, Shankaraman, you said a course or a kind of a tutorial how to use the Cologne libraries. Yes, I have done it. I've used it as a PowerPoint presentation to some of my students. I can share that. The second thing is, okay, action point is, okay, there are places where the text needs to be entered by Devanagari or the Indian languages and without coding directly. I can certainly provide this keyboard and probably 1 or 2 persons to work on this. If there are any corrections to be done on the HTML page or somewhere, I can certainly work on that. I've been talking about this to some of the persons with resources and getting them interested. Of course, the hype talk goes on the Sanskrit AI, but the key thing is, can we work on the dictionaries and correct? The focal point is this. Monier-Williams dictionary has 40,000 plus words marked L, where the lexicographer has made his own choice of preferred meanings, and that needs audit. So that is where
that needs audit, yes. But to do that audit, we need a lot of research actually, because
that part of it is what I'm trying to bring in as a project, and I'm talking to the core teams who are interested in Shastra preservation and who depend and live with Sanskrit. I'm talking to them. Even today morning I had a talk. Hopefully things will materialize very shortly. See, the issue has been simply this. They want to have it with a name of theirs on the project. We're trying to work on that, how the money comes.
Yes, that's the usual Indian way. So they do something small, they close it, and they say this is ors. This Sanskrit must be close. This is the usual Indian way. I've seen it many times. So this is totally different at Cologne. It should stay open. Open.
Yeah. So I'm trying to work on that. No comments on the mindsets, but we need to understand the way the current world is going on now.
Didi, I know what you think, but I have to be harsh, because if I will say good words about India, it will always remain as it is, and I'm not happy about it.
Don't worry, we know what it is.
Because I love India, but that doesn't mean that I will take everything as granted.
I agree with you, no problem in that.
Because otherwise it's like always, oh yes, it's Indian and it's good because it's Indian. Oh great, yes. No, it's not the way.
Okay. BVK would
whether in India or anywhere, okay?
Yes, Jim.
Would you say again, you mentioned something about there were like 40,000 somethings in Monier-Williams.
It's about the words marked.
Would you say, describe
it's about those words, Jim, that are marked with the L lexicographers.
Okay, I thought it might be that. And what did you say about them?
So that they need verification means we need to understand why they are marked that way and not the other way. So they're not in 100 years from Monier-Williams, our knowledge of the language has improved. So some of them.
So you're saying there's some way to determine what L means? Are you saying that is something that is
find actually verification for some of those meanings? Some of those meanings, Monier-Williams was saying, I can find them only in lexicographers' works. They can be reattested in real works nowadays.
So there's some way to understand more fully what the L, where the L comes from.
Yes, but that's a huge task.
Okay, I thank you. That's what I thought it might have been. Yeah, that's entirely different methodologies would be required.
Yes, that would require Shastra people. If they're ready to come, yes, perfectly. But usually Shastra people come and go, so they are not interested in continuous work. So I'm fully open for it. It's a great idea, but usually it's only speaking, not doing. So that's what I see.
Okay.
You'll do it.
Thank you.
Great. If you could manage at least this one, I would say I would bow to you and say yes, perfect. this is a task for the next 500,000 years. Yes, let's do it. Let's try to understand those 40,000 words. Perfect.
Well, that's not necessarily something that Cologne, it might be integrated to extend the dictionary, but it's not something that
it's not
would be
limited
in the
to Cologne in
purview
any way,
of
right?
Cologne per se.
Right.
But it sounds like an interesting thing that would help
yes, I agree.
make the whole thing, the revised version, even better for, especially for scholars.
Right. Dhaval, are you back?
Yes, I am.
Do you want to say something else? Then the things you've said that, oh, for the last 3 years, I don't know what's actually happening. So is there something else you want to add?
No, but I think I keep getting those notifications, so I know what is happening. I have dived into and I'll start devoting more time to Cologne so that he can kind of offload those duties of correction, etc., and work on those projects only.
I think the correction part, I don't know, my opinion is that the correction part is something that's very central to what Cologne's purpose is for existing. Is we want to make something that is a good representation of the dictionaries. And there's still a lot of places where that is not like the Optic dictionaries. There's still lots of things. I think we should focus on that this year, probably. The Optic dictionaries, both of them. And there are lots of error. There's errors, and B, there is lack of markup of the multitudinous abbreviations. And those are things that Cologne, I think it adds to just somebody sitting down at a typewriter and trying to type what's there. And that, I think that should be part of our focus.
I agree.
Right.
And by the way, Felix, just a double, Felix said there may be a way if you decide to go that way, to make a better Python environment at Cologne to work from on the display side. That was something that I didn't know was possible. In other words, probably there could be the Cologne could be organized as a Flash server for Python web pages, and then the PHP display programs could be tailored and much improved by converting them to Python. Hrishikesh pointed out that it would be good to get away from PHP, and also Hrishikesh, unfortunately, the PHP code is very spaghetti code. It's not well organized in lots of ways. I've gotten things done, but unfortunately, it has become very difficult to manage.
Maybe this meeting is not the correct time for it, but is it possible to describe what the code is supposed to do? Like if I sign up for this job and if I am to do a complete rewrite of PHP into something, how much time would I need to dedicate? Can I sort of build an estimate on that? Like what all tasks do we really need to do to transfer this to a, say, Python-based environment?
I believe Dhaval has to say here.
Question?
Dhaval?
Yes. Rishikesh, this see, there is one repository which is having only the pure text data. So it is TXT with certain markups which are existent. We have got those legacy markups which we have updated over period. But they are mainly like hashtags, question marks, or something which is unique @ which would identify the starting and ending tags.
Yeah.
So what in effect is being done is those text files, they are being converted to XML for some kind of standardization. So that portion is taken care of by Python codes anyhow. So text to XML is purely Python based. Thereafter, the front end, the web front end is in PHP. So whatever queries are coming from that front end, they are made to the DB. So we are creating a database from the DB entry is coming from XML. So text goes to XML, XML goes to DB. Those are stored whenever there is a front end query that is being run. So in effect, the code which is converting text to XML is anyhow Python. So up to XML, there is no issue. The only issue is after XML, we are storing it in SQLites, and SQLite queries are being run. So those XMLs, if they can be consumed by any other front end, or if the requirements are such, then that can be done. So that is the only dependency on PHP. That is the only dependency. Otherwise, there is not much which is being done in PHP per se. So if we have Flask-based environment, as Felix was suggesting, so if we have Flask-based environment and APIs are giving decent responses within decent time frame, in that case, any front end can be developed which consumes that API response. And there are certain rudimentary API responses also. Jim has also created certain APIs, not very kind of RESTful APIs, but the APIs do exist. So if we can develop good APIs based on these XML files or maybe on SQLite files, then we can do away with PHP, and we can have Python-based front ends also, which are running on this Flask or other environments. That is how I think it's not very difficult.
Yeah, so as far as much as I understand the structure, it is essentially head word and value, and then value is in some HTML tags that you may need to parse separately for separate dictionaries. But
Right.
still, there are certain things that are common to most, and the Python front end or Python command line interface that I wrote essentially makes the same thing. It works only on the databases, so it is directly making queries to these SQLite databases and fetching information, and it just adds some other bells and whistles in terms of you can provide input in any transliteration scheme, and you can write your custom parsers. So this, I mean, the Python library that I have in its current form or in a modified form is also capable of producing these APIs, giving essentially all these APIs need to do is provide a query function to the database, right? Different types of queries. You want to query based on head word. You want to query on maybe the linked word, or that maybe is done automatically. That one query finds all the linked words and queries in the different dictionaries and then produces results. So I think so if that is all, then that should be a fairly straightforward task. Are there any requirements from the front end that the front end needs to be able to do this? Because the JavaScript part of it, etc., I am not sure how many things. I tried to look at the code and tried to follow the PHP code at some point, and from the intention of rewriting it. But then at some point I had other things come up, etc., and I didn't follow up on that. So if it is just a query interface that we need, then that is, I think, fairly straightforward.
Rishikesh, see, once let's say our Python system, the Flask-based server or whatever we want to do, is up and ready and is giving decent responses on APIs. Thereafter, we do not have a front-end coder who can create a good user interface. UI UX is the weakest portion of this whole project. So we do not have a good layout designer. We do not have a good front-end developer who can consume this and give it in a more user-friendly way than the current web. So what we are looking at is, at minimum, whatever current functionalities are there in Cologne front-end as of now, based on this spaghetti code, that should be able to be replicated. That is the bare minimum which we are looking at. That this is what we want to achieve at the end of the project. If anything which comes over and above beautification or ease of access, etc., it is all extra. So if that does not come also, we are okay with it.
And is there list of these features, because I personally have not used the existing GUI as much. I have primarily just
Use the data.
Databases. So
Right.
if there is a list that yes, this is the feature that we want, this is the feature that we want, can I see such a list? Is there such a thing available?
Only if Dhaval makes one.
Okay.
There is a documented list, and maybe we may require to somewhat modify it, but it's not a very longish task. I can specify that these are the bare minimum items which are required for a front end. So what we can do, Rishikesh, is we can take one dictionary and develop doing away with PHP purely on maybe some front end JavaScript based framework and back end based on Python or other framework which we think fit. So if we can replicate a small dictionary which is working on this phenomena without any interface of PHP, then we should be good to go for rest of them. So you can do a prototype, test it, and get all the desired utilities, and thereafter roll it to the rest of Cologne dictionaries.
Okay. Okay.
One thing about just for Rishikesh to be aware of is that the PHP code is in a particular repository, a separate repository, and there's one base that applies to all the dictionaries. So that would be the place to evaluate first, and once evaluate, because it needs to be reorganized to get rid of the spaghetti code. It needs to be made more extensible, like as an example of more extensible. What right now we're making links to, we might have a new dictionary, unlikely, but possible. We have many of these links to literary sources to resolve. And how do we do that? It's a little bit complicated to do that now. So those kinds of things could be brought into a much better world than the code is in now. But it is at least all in one spot, so that's a plus.
And the presence of XML, that is something that is artificially added, right?
What about the XML? What was the question?
The presence of XML in fields, etc. Is that so? For example, for interlinking, is there some how do I say this? Some other table that basically are the references also stored in a relational database format? And is that how the linking is done, or all the data is essentially in different kinds of XML documents?
You're asking how is the linking to external sources done? Is that kind of your question?
So I am trying to understand the complications in linking to the external sources. Like, can we maintain a separate table of external sources? And
that would be right now. It's not okay. It's not. It's just got a bunch of if you have this link in this dictionary, then make a URL based on the text at this point in the XML. The links are generated by the XML is stepped through, it's parsed.
Okay.
And then when it encounters a certain pattern, when the PHP encounters a certain pattern in the XML, then it does something based on that pattern. That's the way it is now.
Okay.
Jim, just wanted to ask one thing. I forgot it. In SQLite, do you store XMLs as they exist, or you convert them to HTML readable text and then store it?
No, it's XML.
Yeah, it is stored as it is. Yeah.
And then, so right now the HTML is not saved. I think your work with Onashkanchai may have. I think some people do it differently, but anyway, that's the way it is right now at Cologne.
Oh, okay. So currently the SQLite database stores XML, and whenever there is a query, then an HTML is generated from that XML based on the query which is being given to it.
Yes, that's the way it works.
Okay. So Rishikesh, we can work on this together and create a small prototype. I'll specify the specifications. This is what is required in the front end, and this is how the backend data is. The only requirement, your question was, why does the XML step come in? The issue is the dictionaries which we inherited, they were generated on different time frames. So maybe somewhere 20 years old, somewhere 25 years old. So those have different kind of tagging systems. So XML is one place where we more or less bring those tags into a uniform kind of pattern, which is
Yeah,
also
that's
not uniform, but still some sort of sanity comes at XML level, in which, let's say, something was supposed to mean italics. It was tagged differently in dictionary 1, differently in dictionary 2, because they were plain text ASCII kind of thing.
Right,
So
right.
that is
So I understand. Certain things are also coming back to me after I had looked at the data before, and I can see why it is not very straightforward to just maintain an external table and link it to, because you also need to link it to a certain part inside the say value field, not just to the entire value. And that
and
is something that you have to do using some internal format, not just because if you are doing it relational, then each word needs to go in a relational database, and that can become unnecessarily complicated.
right, right. And Rishikesh, what is happening is, because these dictionaries were written for brevity of space. So what they do is Bhagavad, so BHAG dot, then 5.1 comma 5.6 comma 5.3. So they will not be replicating the whole word at many places. So
Yes.
when we go very strictly by only the textual aspect of it, we will not be able to link it well. So
Right,
that
right.
is where some kind of work, some kind of standardization does come, and it is quite a tedious job to kind of standardize all of them to link to a particular page well.
Yeah, even I have seen things like only suffixes change. Like
Right.
if Rama is there, then Ramayana, for Ramayana you just have Ayan at the end, or
So
Katha is if such things like
it's more
hyphen and
difficult
then
at the surface, but at least we can do for some dictionary and create a prototype as proof of concept that this thing works, and it gives almost as near the result as the current system is.
Yes.
One thing that makes it a little, you could imagine shaving. Why do we save the XML for the UI? Why do we base it on the XML form rather than just having an already pre-computed HTML page that we bring back in? That's a good question. And I think it's because there are certain options that the user interface allows. You can make your query, you can spell your query for Rama in various ways, depending on the transliteration scheme you're comfortable with. There's some other kinds of options. And so there's got to be some kind of, if you had if you had all the pages, all the options, if you're only retrieving in the UI an HTML thing, then you'd have to have one. For one dictionary, if there's 5 different options, you'd have to have 5 different versions of that HTML page depending on the user options. So that's part of the reason why it's from the XML, but maybe
Correct.
there's some intermediate stage that would be better than going all the way back to the XML. Maybe there would be a pre-HTML page that you would do a little bit of JavaScript stuff with depending on the user options chosen.
That is definitely one option. So XML and JSON notations are equivalent, and lot of some of the front-end interfaces can render components first and then use data in JSON format to then actually populate these components. But I personally don't have experience with React. I have experience with plain vanilla JavaScript. And
Yeah, I hope we stay with that. I like that plain vanilla JavaScript. I don't want to be dependent on React or similar kinds of JavaScript frameworks. Just one detail there, although we've not made use of it, I have JavaScript forms for the transcoder parts. So that can be done. That's something that's doable and that might provide, might be relevant.
Okay.
Felix, is it so that Francisco is the person in charge in Vienna for the technical part? Felix, who is responsible in Vienna for everything like?
Vienna? What's Vienna?
I mean, the VedaWeb, who is in charge of it like?
It's in Cologne. It's well, it depends. So the guy programming it used to be Berge and Francisco. Francisco moved on. He's still at the university. I still collaborate with him quite closely, but he's working on other things. But it would be Berge, but the
I mean, can we try to have, let's say, maybe a different call where we could invite him, and there will be you and Hrishikesh and Havel and Jim and start to try to solve those to try to understand how we can actually use what they've done to move forward.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because I would really want to understand what they've done before we start developing one new standard.
Makes sense. Because some of the links that Felix posted, I saw the APIs. Some of the APIs are already provided by sea salt kind of things. I couldn't query it. Like if I tried querying some words and it didn't produce output, so I'm not sure if they're connected to.
There's in one of the things. So in Germany between Christmas and New Year's, nothing happens basically. So in that week, and there were the IP stack. There were some infrastructure changes at the university, and there's one part of the API which gives currently 502, and the guy who is responsible for that basically dropped the ball after that 1 week break and did something else and forgot about that, and I wrote him today, and he'll fix it probably tomorrow. Then maybe if you go back, that might be better.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you encounter something that doesn't work, just drop us a line, and we can definitely see. So that's always a problem. We are monitoring some stuff, what we are not monitoring everything automatically, and there might be things that are not working, but we don't encounter. And just write us, and we'll take a look at it.
Okay. And also, I mean, how quickly are we looking to move on this? Because next 3 to 4 months will be. So I am currently in France, and I am taking a couple of courses during this semester. So it will.
I don't believe, Hrishikesh, we are anywhere late or running somewhere.
Okay.
It is a general issue that we understand that maybe Jim is not eternal, and we have to move to another technical platform.
Jim wants to take a break, so he wants someone to like take over.
I understand, and I am definitely interested. It is just that I cannot dedicate
it's not a question of running
development.
It's not a question. Right now, I would just do some research to understand what is the state-of-art way of dealing with such an infrastructure.
Makes sense. Completely.
Yeah. For example, there's no time frame for doing something like that because the system works currently.
Right.
So it's not like you're fixing a broken system right now.
Right.
And maybe you should get the link to your appropriate repositories just so when you have time to look at it, you'll know where to look to get started.
Yep. Right. And we have some strategical picture of where it could get in some years from now.
Mark, can we collaborate, like you and me and Jim or somebody, Dhaval, who understands the whole thing, and make a list of what is needed, who can do what? I mean, so whoever is
compiling such a list will require a few months of work. So anyway,
no need. At least an overall view. See, what is the direction of the work? I mean, people want to collaborate. They want to understand. They are ready to input something, but we don't have anything like defined. So I think this is the time when we can make something. Okay, like I was given some, like I correct the head words and it goes right to the GitHub. I forgot how I did it. You know, it was very technical.
It's easy to forget.
Yeah, I mean, can we make something that people can see this? Okay, I'm connected at this area, this point of the work where I can contribute. So where people can understand that easier than where we cannot take time to explain like all this. Can we make an overall page?
It sounds great. I'm not sure if it's.
It's doable. Don't say it's not. Let's try. At least okay. 20%.
Well, it's not going to be definitive. It's a work in progress, and for example, to know that Rishikesh might be able to contribute, that's something I didn't know before I walked in here. That should be written down somewhere, just so we'll remember that.
That where he says that he's not that he said at that date that he could.
Yeah, no, we don't want to do that.
The meeting is being recorded.
That he's maybe will be contributing to that. So that's a good idea, to make some sort of organizational memos that help us understand what, help you understand what is being attended to and what we don't know how to handle yet. That's a good idea. We can talk about that some.
So what I really like that this this talk has come to something specific. It's not just about talking. It's come to something. It has come to some vision.
Yes. Yes, which will be amplified as time goes by. We don't know who all the participants are yet. Do you want to continue with your list?
We can if they want to. Is there someone who wants to
I just want to say hi to Anna.
Anna, can you turn on the camera there? She can, I believe, because she was just busy these days, but she had the camera on one time.
Well, she does.
Yes. I'm here.
Yes.
Without the camera, we don't believe Anna.
Sorry, my final preparation before my trip.
Yeah, I got your note on. So I'm going to be working on getting the index made use of while you're away, and so I just wanted you to know that.
Yeah. So sorry, for some days I will be unavailable, and when I coming back, I immediately write you, and if you have any questions, I will be.
Right. Yeah. Understood. Yeah, I'll make use of what you uploaded. That's probably the next thing I'll do something with, just to get that done. And Marcius, I think I maybe have made a little bit improvement. Remember how the Burnuf Bhagavatam, you looked at it and said, oh, there's so many, this is practically unusable because there are so many different scroll bars.
Yes, you have managed to kill some of them.
I made some improvements, so
Great.
I'll let you look at it.
I had to scroll into scroll into scroll.
Yeah,
it was a bit harsh.
I know.
And one more from me. I was doing that searches. In that searches, when we have the output in the right window, I see some errors. So I was looking for corrections option. Okay, it wasn't there. So it was interesting. I just wanted like if it were there. Like I do it on the regular basis nowadays. So if that is added, we can start with.
So we have that correction option. It depends. You want it in the picture or in the text?
No, in the text, in the digital text.
In the text, there is a shortcut on the keyboard where you can send your mistake. You need to press some letters. I will show you what's the magic, and it gets sent.
It depends on the display.
Is it there on the advanced search?
No, it's in every. It's every page of the. It's everywhere. You just have to know what to press.
Okay, right.
It's some magic.
Yeah, but when you have another example, Usha, make a screenshot and send to me. Maybe there's something missing that we did you are the first to notice. I'm not, or maybe there's something about the UI that was confusing to know how to use. I'm not sure, but just do that. We'll definitely want to attend to it because that corrections button has has given us a lot of good
yes, it is
improvements.
Just to mention, and when I want to tell someone why I keep on telling about the dictionaries, I mention Anna. Why do I mention Anna? So I mention her as a person who had no idea what a computer is. And she learned the computer just to be able to support this Sanskrit dictionary community. So this is, whenever I tell that someone tells that I don't know how to, I mean, like that they're telling that they are not the kind of person, then I tell about Anna, that there was a girl in Russia who didn't knew nothing, but she liked the idea. And when you like something, then there are no real obstacles. So that's I just wanted to say.
Please don't forget about person who helped me to do it.
You have the best teacher in the person of Jim, because you cannot get a better teacher anyway.
Well, you certainly know how to use a computer now, for sure, and you're so careful. That's that's an uncommon combination. So it's been great to have your help.
Great. Where is Sampada? I mean, I just remembered her.
She is in the chat. I did not email her separately.
Okay.
Jimmy, has she emailed you lately, Sampada?
Who?
I mean, from France. Sampada?
Oh, Sampada. No. No, I haven't heard
because
from her.
Because I see she is doing Sanskrit work in France, but I mean, she has dropped out from Cologne activities.
Yes, yes.
I believe I will email
so no, I
her.
haven't communicated with her.
I believe I will email her, because I would want really, because she was really good, I mean, for so long, Jim, right?
Yes, yes. So we have to keep the people working on it. I mean, have some kind of communication from time to time, not yearly ones, but at least
we have to have some communication. So it's getting too rarely done.
Monthly, twice at least. We all should be.
Not monthly, but at least maybe not once per year, because indeed we have not even noticed we lost Sampada. I didn't even notice that, because she was huge.
When you mentioned,
I'm not sure what she's doing now. Yes,
she's teaching Sanskrit a lot nowadays, but I would sure want to get in touch with her again.
Okay.
She's teaching Sanskrit in French in Paris.
Mm-hmm. She's still living in Paris. I thought she would be. Her husband works there.
Right. So that's what I know. And she was really, really good and really, let's say, her heart was with the dictionaries for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So we should remember the elders between us. We should remember we should know who is doing what, and even if they are not doing it now, it doesn't mean we should not have a list of those people who had been there before.
Yeah, we should have a system developed where we are working, who is working what, what help they need, how can we communicate, something in between, which is solid.
Because otherwise the newcomers will see, okay, they have lost a person and didn't even notice that they lost it.
I noticed that you have that Serge is here. That's great.
Serge is here. I don't know if he has a voice still. I don't know if he has a voice still. We can ask.
I don't know either.
Sergey?
Serge has always his camera down, I understand, but his voice, his microphone should be working. Serge.
Let us check. Sergey, ты тут? We'll see if he understands Russian still.
I don't know.
Maybe next time. Who knows? Yeah. So.
I see one person is not speaking at all. Vladimir, his name?
Yes, Vladimir is.
I just wanted to know. I mean, what?
Yes, Vladimir, can you please?
Here I am. Hello, my name is Vladimir. I work with Digital Corpus of Sanskrit by Oliver Helwig, and I develop a computer program that unite dictionaries with Digital Corpus of Sanskrit, and I built information analytical system for the research of the Sanskrit texts, and this program can be used for teaching Sanskrit, for making some research, for example, to research of lexical course of different historical periods in Sanskrit evolution, and this program can be used for the training of a right Sanskrit text reading in point of view of Chhanda Shastra, and research the text with 200 parameters, to research the text stilistics and to compare this text with stylistic parameters and phonetic parameters. Martis, can you help me in translation?
Sure. So he is developing an offline interface for Cologne dictionaries, and he's adding a lot of analytical code to do a lot of statistical research. So based on the Cologne dictionary, he's adding like 90,000 lines of code to do a lot of calculations, like frequency. All kinds of frequency you could ever imagine is one of the aspects. So he is doing it for years and years now on. He knows everything about what Helvig has done, all the flaws of his data structure. So none of it is like for web. It is like a research upon the dictionaries done offline.
And would some of your analytical work, could it be turned to the purpose of identifying probable mistakes in the typing of the Cologne dictionaries?
Yes, I believe so. For example, one of the things that Vladimir has done, he did a full search of similar padas through the corpora. We have like some full quotes, and then we have some partly quotes, like Ramayana quotes Mahabharata, that kind of stuff. And we are preparing the full Russian translation of Ramayana. And for example, for that, we use those pada comparisons, and some of them are not full. I haven't seen mistakes there. I mean, that's just variation of words. The fullness is not full because there are different synonyms, but I believe we might think of this correction kind of aspect as well. We have not dealt with Vladimir with that before, as I remember. We were trying to understand what grammar forms you have to know if you learn the first kanda of Ramayana. What you have to know in what lesson, for example. You have to know like what kind of endings, what kind of tenses. So we were doing all this kind of stuff. What kind of participles you need to know to be able to read this. So to trying to not just do statistics, but to do statistics, as said initially, for educational purposes, to try to understand what is required to read the first chapter of Gita, like, and that kind of stuff.
Yes, it is.
And it's a long way. So what we are taking one printed Sanskrit textbook, for example, this one. It's written for humans by a human, and we are measuring all the possible aspects from a corpus perspective to see if the all-day grammars, how they actually fit in the real world. So, I mean, their authors were relying on other authors who were relying on other authors. And some of them stated something which is not actually true. but the grammars, they keep on repeating. So what we're trying to do is to make the first revision of a grammar based on a corpus data only. And that's huge. And I hope that Vladimir manages to do the first step in 2 years from now. And for that, he uses a lot of dictionary data. And as Oliver relies on Monier-Williams, we are always interested to keep up the Monier-Williams clean, because then we could clean up Oliver could clean up the corpus. So it's a web that goes on and on and on.
I wanted to write this one, what are shabdas, how the nouns are formed in Sanskrit. For that, what pratyayas are added. So I just was trying to, I was totally dependent on Cologne's Shabdakalpadruma. I was trying to find out. I mean, not from the grammar sources from Panini. Just wanted to go by what dictionary is trying to do. And the results were very interesting, and they were all, it didn't get a shape, but that's what I just wanted to tell the group. What the Cologne can do for a teacher from a learner's point of view. There are so many interesting things that the dictionaries have to offer, not just the word and meaning, but much from grammatical.
So what you are asking, Didi, is can be seen in the screenshot I sent right now. Okay. So today I talked with Martin Gluckman, and so he sent me a screenshot of this email today. So there are people who have developed great tools, and the question is if we can, as Havel initially stated, that the main maybe purpose of Cologne is to be the #1 reference place, and if it has all those APIs open, then all those young people around the world, Indian-based, non-Indian-based, can build their own tools. And what you are asking is above what we focus on. But if Cologne has that openness enough wide, it can be used in the development of those tools. One of the tools which I sent you, if you open the link, which is in that screenshot, you will see that you are thinking in that direction. People are working in that direction. We do not have to do it on our own. Right. We have to focus on the source, and we have limited amount of people, manpower.
No, for my students, I mean, I want to.
Yes. I mean, I believe these tools that are built above Cologne is what you are actually looking for.
Right.
Because Cologne will not go in this pratyaya level ever. It will not. It is not a task of this dictionary project. Its task is to be true to the original printed books and to make them hyperlinked. That, I believe, is the utmost level of...
we might want to consider having a section, just a list of interesting
tools,
things done with the Cologne dictionary.
Right, that's a great idea. I fully agree, Jim. Right. But we have to be aware of them. Even I am aware, maybe only a part of them. So that's, I mean,
you and Usha probably could start a list, make a list.
Right. I agree. A list of services based at least partly on Cologne data. Right.
Yeah.
With your permission now, I have to leave the meeting. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm a part of it. I'll be always there.
I believe that's enough for today. Let us have a call. I don't know when. I believe that I would want Hrishikesh to take a look at some of the technical data, and I would want to have maybe a smaller, more technical call in I don't know how many weeks or months, but let it come this year to see.
Can we have a Telegram group, WhatsApp group?
We had that group, but some of us still not joined there. So yes, okay. For now, let it be here. So I will, let's say, after 1 month and after 4 months, I will remind Hrishikesh and Felix, are we ready for a call now? Because right now we are not ready. But it should not be after 1 year. if we will move in such a speed, we will never make it.
So only those who are seriously working, we need a place where we are motivated, we are connected, we have some place to discuss.
For now, we have this technical aspect. So should we move? Can we move? How to move? So this is this technical aspect. Yes, this is not the only aspect, but it is the one that makes Jim, I believe, the most. It's for him one of the important questions for him.
Yeah, well, I'm satisfied that we've made some progress today. I wasn't sure whether that would happen.
I was not as well.
But I think we have.
Yes,
it's nice also to meet some of the people who you gathered, Marcis.
Right. So I am impressed about the level of details we have come to. So I mean, Felix, thank you for pointing out. I saw that Kosha web, but I didn't realize that it actually might be a path we need to take ourselves.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad Felix is keeping track of what we do and is open to help us. That's just really great. So thanks, Felix.
The initial spirit of Thomas Malton is reincarnated in this way in Felix.
Maybe someday that our Thomas can be in one of our meetings. That would be nice, but we'll see. It would be nice to have his evaluation of what his project has turned into.
Right. Yes. So we need some people who are maybe not in full love with Sanskrit right now, but at least who have some compassion for what we do. Then
Peter as well. He might be interested sometime. I don't know.
It's a bit hard. Peter is a bit like Indian type. He's a closed one guy, so we'll see if it changes one day. India is changing slowly, but one day it might get a bit opener.
Now you bring in foreigners to compare with Indians. well. Okay, take it.
Then that's it for today. Let's not take it longer. It's been a long call. Let's have one other call this year. I hope we can at least support what's been done until today. I don't say about huge plans what we can develop. My main goal is to make sure it's sustainable, as it is.
Rishikesh, leave your contact info somewhere in the chat, if you would.
Okay.
And I'll send you a link for what you might start out looking at when you have time.
Yeah, I'll just do that.
Okay.
So before we start, Felix, we can have access to Flask-based environment on Cologne server, right? This is what.
Yes. So that would depends on how that works. We might have to migrate out of the web space onto another environment, but it's possible. Yes. Flask is definitely possible. I think that would be one of the things we talk in the next, what Marcis suggested, that we when we have a technical call, we can basically. I'll call in a few people from here who are in the digital humanities IT area, and that can support us. I mean, it always depends on how much manpower we can dedicate, but for migration, we can definitely have enough people.
And Rishikesh, what you might work on is just to not necessarily assuming that the target would be Python, but even just the PHP could be organized so it was just more clear and maintainable.
All right.
There would also be a possibility to Dockerize the whole thing. The computing center doesn't run Docker, but there's a group in the humanities that has a Docker environment. So that might be also a way to go, then Dockerize the whole thing.
Okay. And the server so is this an Nginx server? Or is it Apache server?
Are you asking the server?
Yeah, server that is hosting the front end currently, server that runs all this PHP and something.
And what did you ask? You said Apache or what?
Or Nginx, the
Apache.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't. Is there a way to find that out? I don't know how to determine that. I don't know.
If there is a process like HTTPD, then that might mean it is Apache.
It's
not
set up differently. It's a web space. So what is visible to Jim might not suffice to. I think it's. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what the web space thing runs on. It's really restricted environment. But the advantage is that you don't have to. You are not responsible for maintaining the security of the OS, and you're not have to update MariaDB or something like that. This is all done by a computing center. That's the reason why it is currently running in this restricted thing, because the day-to-day maintenance is extremely low, like it's non-existent beyond the application itself. Depending on where we want to go, more day-to-day administration, keeping the system secure becomes more of a task, and that has to be kind of weighed against the advantage of having more technical freedom. I think we can talk about that, and for example, the Dockerized environment would be one option. Then you have more freedom, but that I think think about that, and then we talk with Berger and Philip and some other people who are can talk better about the concrete consequences of all these options. I can talk about that, but there are people who are more are more competent than me for that.
So just to give you an idea, we'll have to stick to the bare minimum. Let's say if you are having Python 3.12 point something, so you should for Python 3.6. It should work on 3.6, 3.7, something of a lower configuration, because the server is usually restricted. It took us almost 2 to 3 years before we shifted from Python 2 to Python 3.
Yes.
So we're not talking about cutting edge technology. We're talking about something which can work in maybe 3.6, 3.7, something of that sort.
Yeah. So the general most of the code that I wrote during my PhD and even later it has been on 3.8 or so. And but I would suggest not going before 3.6, because from 3.5 to 3.6 there was a lot of changes. Like 3.6 still remains more or less compatible with new ones. Yeah.
Right. So Marcus, is it time to call it a day?
Yes, it's great. I'm always satisfied with the results, because I don't know if at least one part of it will turn into life. I would say, oh great, this call was not for it makes sense. Thank you for coming, and let's gather in upcoming months once again.
Yeah, thank you for organizing it.
Okay, bye-bye to all.
Свидание.
Bye.
Bye-bye.